There's always enough room for beer. No one complains no one complains when a new burger shop opens, like, oh man, we have too many burgers in town. And it's the same with beer. If you're making good beer, people will drink it. I'm Evan Benn, and I am the beer columnist and food critic for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Beer is definitely gaining on wine in terms of popularity because it's a really more versatile beverage when you think about it. I mean, wine, you can only have the grapes you use and yeast, but beer, you have 4 ingredients: water, yeast, hops, and malts. And with those 4, you can really manipulate it into thousands of different manipulations. So beer is more versatile, and therefore I think there's really a flavor for everyone. So people who may think they're really into wine but haven't really tried beer yet, there's a beer out there for them. Ingredients are interesting. So all beer has to have 4 ingredients: water, yeast, malts, and hops. And malts are sort of like, if you have coffee beans, you can roast them to different degrees. So if you have a really lightly roasted malt, that's going to create a lighter beer like a Pilsner. Whereas if you roast it for a long time and it gets really dark, that's how you're going to have a dark beer like a stout. And hops are the other kind of miracle ingredient in beers that brewers can use almost as seasonings, like a baker would in their spice rack. And hops can provide aromas and flavors, anything from citrus and grass to lemongrass and fruit. So really, with those 4 ingredients, brewers can manipulate beer in all different ways. It's really neat. Brew in the Lou is a book that I wrote based on my Hip Hops blog, and I've been writing that for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch since 2009. And it's a weekly blog, a column, and then I also blog every day about new breweries, new releases, stuff like that. In 2011, the paper had me write a book called Brew in the Lou. My name is Evan Benn, and I'm the food critic and beer columnist for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And that's really all about St. Louis's history as a beer town, but also the current resurgence it's going through right now in terms of all these craft breweries popping up. There are some great American beer cities: Denver, Portland, Oregon, San Diego. Philly is an incredible beer city. And St. Louis has been a historic beer city because it's the home of Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser. But in 2008, Anheuser-Busch was bought out by this Belgian company called InBev. And at that time, people their loyalties shifted, and they started to look for different beer, locally produced beer, craft beer, and that's when we started to see all these new breweries pop up. I would say St. Louis is maybe a second-tier beer town where we're just on the cusp of being the next Denver or Portland, but we're not quite there yet. There's definitely room for breweries in York to come up, and they're not going to bump heads with brewers like Victory in Philly or Dogfish Head in Delaware. There's definitely room for everyone to play in the sandbox. You're going to look at it, and you're going to see the appearance. You know, is it cloudy? Is it clear? Is it light? Is it dark? And you're going to swirl it in your glass a little bit and breathe in that foam, the head that's on the top of the beer. That's not bad. That's where all the aromas are. So you want to smell, is it biscuity, is it bready, is it hoppy, is it grassy, is it citrusy? And then you take a sip, and you sip again, and you taste beer. And beer can be many things to many people, but I always say the favorite beer is the beer that you enjoy.